Good afternoon, this is Michele from Thai Italian Chamber of Commerce. I would like to welcome all the participants and I thank them for attending today. As you saw, today we talk about wine under the project of True Italian Taste, a global project that involves over 36 Italian Chamber of Commerce abroad in 23 countries. The project is under the umbrella of the Extraordinary Italian Taste. This activity that involves so many offices all over the world has the main target to teach about the authentic Italian cuisine and ingredients matched with the territory. Today, talking about wine, we will also mention about certificate, innovation and sustainability.
Thank you, Davide. Yes, and also with us today we have Mr. Conti Zecca, owner of the winery Zecca. And as you know from the advertisement, we're going to talk about certification for wine and labels, and why it is important to deliver to the consumer a wine that is certified, and the meaning of this. Plus, we will be talking also a bit about the innovation, sustainability. But with no much further ado, now I will leave the word, our virtual floor to Mr. Davide to start. Later on, there will be also Mr. Clemente. And in the final part of the event, we will open it to a Q&A session for the participant. Okay, Davide, the stage is all yours now. I recommend to keep the microphone maybe closer to your mouth.
Yes. And
thank you very much.
Thank you, Michele. Thank you for all the guests joining us today. It's a great opportunity for me, the site manager at GFour, to introduce briefly our activity as one of the major players in the Thailand market in terms of import and distributing Italian premium wines. We started our adventure 17 years ago, and we're still here despite all the difficulties and the troubles we all know. So I prepare a brief presentation to share with the guests joining today. For who doesn't know yet, GFour International, and this is a brief scheme of our history. Started 17 years ago in Milan. We import different premium wine from all over the world, and of course we come from Italy, originally from Milan. The project started in 2002 in Thailand, and since then, thanks to the trust of many great producer in Italy who was not yet available in this market, we built our market in the Horeca, especially. So we serve the best Italian restaurants with the best Italian wines. I can share with you later more information regarding the producer we import, and we also made a special private label with some of them who believed in this project. We have Paul Genesi as a family line, which we select the producer from all Italy, and we relabel with a portrait family pictures too, as an homage of our ancestors, because thanks to them we are here. So then, after a brief introduction of GFour as a player in importing and distributing Italian wine, I'm happy to share with you some information regarding the history of the wine in production in Italy. Many of you, of course, know very well.
Davide, sorry for the interruption. There is someone texting me that they cannot hear you very well.
Okay.
You can speak louder so everyone can understand me clearly.
Thank you. Sorry again. I try my best to be speak as clearly as near as possible to the microphone. If someone has missed some information, I was just introducing G4 that represent as a sales manager in the market for 17 years. And now I'm going to briefly go through the history of Italian wines, which starts approximately 4,000 years ago. Of course, we go very quickly, just mentioning Italy together with Spain and France is the largest producer in the world. 20% of the wine in the world are produced in Italy, with over 900,000 registered vineyards and 1,300 registered grape varieties. So there is a lot to understand, and there is a lot to explore. And maybe one lifetime is not enough. But of course, many Thai people, thanks to our effort and other players in the market, have had the opportunity to know and to taste and to fall in love with Italian wines. Which came, the wine, of course, was introduced in Italy thousands of years ago, thanks to our neighbors, the Greek, which named Italy Enotria, which is means literally the land of wine, because it was very dedicated, devoted to this, the production of the grape variety. And thanks to also the spreading of the Roman Empire, the vinifera, the wine were planted all over Europe. The legend wants that the Caesar soldiers used to drink 3 liters of wine per day. Of course, the time were not 7-Eleven, you could buy the water, then the wine was differently made, and was a very healthy way to fight the thirst and to also give power to the soldiers. Thanks to the trace of the importance of the Roman soldier remains also in the name of some of the most exclusive appellation also in France. I mentioned just Romani Conti, for example. So then we have from Rome, thanks to the Roman soldier, the wine spread into all Europe, and also after, all the New World. Then speaking about Italian wines, the law regarding classifying Italian wines is more recent compared to the French, which we are inspired of. Of course, the classification of Napoleon was in 1855 in Bordeaux, opened the market for the trade of French wine. For the Italian wines, we have to wait a little bit later, than 1960, to have the first law who was introduced the denomination di origine DOCG and DOC and EGT, following the example of the French classification and also the European community. So we start from a basic classification as a Vini da Tavola, which is let's say, the entry level for the Italian wine production. We go up with a higher classification called Indicazione Geografica Tipica, and then the best wines are under the classification of DOC or DOCG, denomination di origin controlled and guaranteed, which among that we have the kings of Italian wines. Among them, of course, many knows Barolo, Amarone, and Brunello, and many others. I don't want to mention, of course, all. In the 1963, then, as I mentioned, was first launched the official Italian system classification, then was modified in 1992, and finally the latest European Union wine regulation came in 2008-2009, certified according to the 4 classification I just mentioned, and we saw in a previous briefly presentation Quindi abbiamo, so we have the Vini da Tavola, che sono generic wines, wines which are not reporting the grape variety, can be produced anywhere in the UA. No have indication origin geographic. So we have also varietal wines. This Vino da Tavola, which makes also with the international grape variety. And then we have the second certification, which is more requires more criteria. Is a typical geographical indication. So our this certification are wine produced in a specific territory within Italy and following a series of specific and precise regulation and chemical physical characteristics according to the law. And then we have the DOCG and DOC, which finally have been regrouped according to the European law in the DOP, which is a new category which also protect other products which are not only wine. And regarding the wine, we have the DOC, the controlled designation of origin, and DOCG, controlled and guaranteed designation of origin. So before to be DOC wine, they have to be for 5 years at least under the EGP denomination. They also must follow stricter production regulation than EGP wines. The DOC wine can be promoted to DOCG if have been a DOC for at least 10 years. In addition, there are others requisites to fulfill. So this is the briefly the general classification, the 4 main classification of the wines. Then we have other inside the DOP category classification regarding the Chianti or other wines in difference between Classico and Superiore or Riserva. And we have now totally 73 DOCG in 50 different regions, but mostly concentrated in the Piemonte, Lombardia, Veneto, and Tuscany. But we have also in South Italy other example, and on this occasion I will let our guest the pleasure to speak about them, DOCG and DOC nomination classification in Puglia. But I just want to make just an important note, because it doesn't mean that Egyptian wines are must be considered lower in quality, because as many knows, there are in the market wines we also known as super Tuscan, which not follow the rules of the certification, but they are under EGP wines, but are extremely expensive and extremely high in quality. So this is one of the seal which guarantee it's a product has achieved the standard for get DOCG approbation. So there are in this example specifically for Prosecco. There is under the cork, near the cork, usually post this certification of quality. The consumer, when see this seal, of course, must be sure to acquire a product with the quality certified. So this is for what I can tell you regarding the general classification. Of course, many already know about this information. This was an opportunity for me to briefly introduce our company, GFour, and also to invite Mr. Conti Zecca, which is now connected with us from Italy, Puglia, to speak with his own about his own winery and the certification and the of the South Italy, particularly there is Conti Zecca wines, and also to spend a few words about other certification, in particular for the sustainability and organic farming. So maybe if you have a more question later, I will be happy to satisfy the more curiosity from the guests. But if you don't mind, I will leave the words to Conte Clemente so he can introduce his winery and also the certification I just mentioned, because I think there is some maybe some people who are not able clear regarding the organic certification and sustainability. If you agree, I would like to give a word to Conte Clemente.
Yes, okay. I'm Clemente Zecca. Hello to everyone. Everybody can hear me, right? And also see the presentation with the slides. That's the most important thing. So hello to everybody. I'm Clemente Zecca, and I represent the latest generation from the Conti Zecca family and the winery. So first of all, I would like to talk a little bit about the winery and the history, and also to tell where we are in Italy, because we are an Italian winery, but Italy is quite big and diversified. There is a huge biodiversity in our small country. So it's important to understand where we are located. But let's start from the history. So the name from the winery and also my family name is Conti Zecca. And so I try to, okay. So let's start about our history. Everything started in the 1580. In the 1580, one of my ancestors, Francesco Antonio Zecca, which was an agricultural entrepreneur, decided to move from Naples to Puglia in order to conduct directly the land that he owned in the south of Italy. But at the time, our business was just about agriculture in general. It wasn't, we weren't like just wine producer. Indeed, for the work that we have done in our region in Puglia, the Pope decided to give us in the 1884 a title, an aristocratic title of Count. That is a title that was given to the family, the Hansen family, that has an important role in the development of the country. Then in the 1935, something very important happened, because my great-grandfather was Alcibiade Zecca. He was really passionate about wine and about culture, so he decided to start producing his own wines. At the beginning, he decided to produce his wine just for himself, his family, and his friends. But these wines were extremely good, so he decided to start selling this wine all over Italy and after all over the world. So in the 1930, he started building the winery in Leverano. Leverano, where the winery is still located. Then in 1914, the son, so my grandfather, Giuseppe, reformed the colony control system and modernized the cellar and acquires the necessary machinery for the independent management of the entire production cycle. And so the first label born in the 1940 from our winery. And he also introduced some new technologies in the wineries, such as the temperature control system for the fermentations and also the oak for the aging of the wine, which is very important in order to produce more premium and super premium wines. But now we start talking about now we start talking about what is sustainability, and especially like organic viticulture and sustainable viticulture, which is something very important for us. in the last 10 years, we start working with Ruggero Mazzilli, which is one of the most important agronomists of organic viticulture in Italy. And we start working with this organic viticulture in all our estate, because we have 320 hectares in our estate, which is a lot. And as you already know, organic viticulture is something that improves the quality of the wines, and especially the quality of the soil, but also it's more expensive and more demanding. So it's something that it takes a lot of years to do. You cannot like start doing organic viticulture in all your winery in just 1 year. It's something that takes a lot of time, because it's something is very demanding in the time, a number of people that works in the field, and also about the economic, because it's something more expensive. So it's something that it takes a lot of time. And for the organic certification, it takes 3 years. So you have to start 3 years before in order to have the organic certification, the organic logo on your label after 3 years that you do this organic viticulture. So, but which is our idea, our philosophy behind the organic viticulture? Because we do not do organic viticulture just because of the logo, because we are like a family business. So we don't need to have a logo on our label in order to sell our wines. It's just more about our philosophy or our idea of viticulture. So we think that a balanced vineyards give less problem, less cost, more quality, and more durability. So we think that with organic viticulture, we obtain a more balanced vineyards, which is something very, very important for viticulture. Because the best vineyards is the one where you work less, because there is less need. Because the good winemaker, using more the head and less the muscles, has been able to understand and manage in a different way the balance of soils and plants by enhancing their spontaneous resistance and, as a consequence, the indigenous characters. So this is something very, very, very important, because we believe that vineyards with organic viticulture is most balanced. So it means that it's like a child. If a child grows alone without the use of a lot of medicine, a lot of antibiotics, he acquires more resistance to the infections. And at the same time, in organic viticulture, you use less chemical compound, less medicine for the grapes and for the vines. Indeed, vines became more resistant to the different disease of the vines, and became more resistant. So you have to do less treatment, and the plant become stronger, and also increase the number of autochthonous characteristics. So plants that grow with organic viticulture, it becomes stronger, and also it enhances all the characteristics of the soils and of the grape varieties itself. So you can perceive more the taste of Negramaro, of Sangiovese, and also the taste of the terroir, so of the soil. This is very, very important. So what we do to the soil with organic viticulture, we use organic compound produced inside the farm. Then the process must be less impactful as possible, both from a chemical and a mechanical point of view, in order to ruin less our soil and our plants. And then natural grassing with barley and clover, which is something very, very important. So first of all, we start talking about grassing. So grassing is, we use barley and clover in our vineyards in alternate rows. We plant the grass in autumn, and we let them grow as much as possible, and then face them in the late spring in order to have as much mass as possible. And we do not bury the cut grass, but we keep the dry mulching of the movings, which is used to retain humidity and protect the soil from the sun. So this is the first step of organic viticulture. Sorry, but we have, okay. Then we use organic compost. So we use organic fertilizer. Organic matter also improves soil structure by reducing the potential for soil compaction, increased water retention, and infiltration. Organic matter also improves the buffering capacity of the soil by increasing the total surface available for certain exchange sites. So this is very important because organic compost give energy, give life to the soil. So after some years that we have using this organic compost in our vineyards, we see a lot of insects, a lot of microorganisms that are leaving our vineyards again. This is very important to give character to our wines. Then we cut the berry and clover in spring, so during May, and we obtain this, I like to call it a carpet, full of mass, and this mass protects the soil from the sun, which is very strong, especially in August here in Puglia, and also keeps the humidity under the soil, which is important because we don't use anymore the irrigation. So we preserve the water, and this is also part of the sustainability. So we don't waste any water in order to produce our wine. This is something exceptional. And also the roots of this grass, of barley and clover, is very important for the structure of the soil. Then the weed control. The weed control is something very important. Weed control is almost universally cited as the most difficult management challenge on organic farm because of cost, because of different ways. So before, a lot of wineries, especially in the 80s, in the 70s, used to use herbicides. But herbicides is very bad for the environment and for the soil structure. So we use mechanical weed control, which is something that it takes a lot of time. It's more expensive for sure, but it helps a lot the soil. So we use some blade in order to cut the grass under the vines. And this is something very, very important for us, and we are investing a lot in this weed control, but the results are exceptional. But all these organic tools that we are using right now, it's very important because this zoning, it's very important to give uniqueness and to give character to our wine. Now I would like to talk about the 3 different soil that we have in our estate. I've divided in 3 main areas. The first one is Rifugio, which is a more sandy and calcareous soil. Then there is Cantalupi, which is a more clay and deep soil. And then Doncola, which is a mixed soil of clay, limestone, with also traces of iron oxides. This is very important because 3 different soil gives 3 different kind of wine. Because, for example, from Rifugio, we produce more primitivo, more elegant wines, which has a little bit less structure but are easier to drink. From Cantalupi, we produce like darker wine with more structure, deeper, because of the different, because there is clay and the soil are deeper, so you are gonna have a different kind of wine. And Doncola, we have more mineral wine, so we produce more like white wines or like red wines with a medium body, but with a lot of minerality and also some spices on it. So this is very important that if you have different soils, you have different kind of wine. But in order to have these different characteristics, which is the thing that makes the wine world very fascinating, very beautiful, you have to increase the biodiversity from this small area inside our winery. And in order to do that, you have to use organic viticulture in order to enhance the characteristic of the soil. Because if you don't use this, you're gonna have all the same wines. And imagine the beautiful of having different wine in 300 hectares. Imagine the difference in the biodiversity of our nation of Italy, all over Italy, which is more than 1,000 kilometers. So every plot of soil have different characteristics and give different kind of wine. This is something incredible. And what about our wine? We are in Puglia, so we are here in the south of Italy, in the hill of the boot. And this area, we have a DOC. Our DOC is the Negramaro, and Conti Zecca is the only winery in the entire world that produce the DOC of Leverano with Negramaro grapes variety. And we produce a Riserva Superiore. So we have more than 90% of Negramaro grapes in our wine, and we have to age this wine for more than 12 months maturation in oak, and a total of more than 24 months of aging. So it takes a lot of, at least 2 years in order to make a Leverano Negramaro Riserva Superiore. And we are the only producer to do that. But this is like a kind of rule, a law that was imposed in order to assure the quality of the wine, so that nobody can produce this wine. At least you respect these rules, so that the grapes are grown in this specific area of the world, which is a small defined area, and you do this kind of aging in order to create this wine. It is something outstanding that gives to this wine an incredible quality, because very few people can produce this wine, and you have to respect a lot of rules. That means the cost and everything. So this is the importance in order to have a DOC, but it's also important to have an organic certification in order to enhance all these characteristics of your terroir, of your territory, and also about the wine that you produce. About sustainability, so the green viticulture is very important, but also it's important to be green inside the winery. So what we do in our wineries is to reduce the use of, sorry, there is a mistake there, but the use of the sulfite in the wine. Then we use photovoltaic panels to produce energy in order to be self-sufficient, so we don't waste any energy. And something that we are very proud of is that we are carbon free. So between the carbon dioxide produced in the winery and that eliminated by the plants, we do not produce any carbon in our winery. So this is exceptional, because that means that we do not pollute the environment at all, because yes, for sure, we produce some carbon dioxide, but we also eliminate that thanks to our vineyards, thanks to our plants in our estate, in our 300 hectares. So this is very important for the environment, for us, for our lungs, for our health, but also to make clean wine. Then something that I would like to talk about is also about the zoning that we have done in our estate. So we have selected the best cru of our estate, and we have selected this cru because of the weather condition, about the soil composition, because inside our estate there are some areas which are better than other area to produce some wines. And inside this small vineyard, we produce our best wines. That the best wines means because they better represent our philosophy and our area of production, which is Salento, Leverano region. And the zoning of the territory stems from the idea that great wine expresses a strong territorial connotation, but territoriality is born in the vineyard, not in the cellar. And there is no technology or scientific instrument capable of making it. This is very important for us and for our philosophy, because everywhere you can build a cellar, you just have to buy the machinery and you can create a good wine. But to create something exceptional, something that the instrument cannot create, you have to respect the environment. Because remember, now there are like wineries all over the world. But something unique from Italy, or especially also from France, from the old world, is that we have an incredible terroir, our soil is different, and it's something that, trust me, something that you cannot create, you cannot replicate, you cannot imitate at all. So we have to enhance this soil composition, this terroir, this territory, in order to be different and to create products that you cannot replicate anywhere else, that has its own personality and its own uniqueness. So what we want to try to achieve, thanks to the organic farming and also the DOCG certifications, is to create unique wine that talks about our identity, our winery, and our terroir. This is our goal. And if you want to our what we do in our vineyards and in our winery, just follow us on Facebook or Instagram, that we post different pictures about what we do, especially in our vineyards, and we try to explain in Italian and in English what we do. And thank you. And remember that in order to do great wine, you have to be passion. You have to have passion, tradition, and innovation. It's very important. Thank you. I don't know if you have then any question about what we have talked today, me or Davide. Just ask us whatever you want.
Okay. Thank you very much both for you, Davide and Clemente. Maybe I am going to unmute Davide. Davide, let us know if you can talk now. Try to unmute you, Davide. Maybe you should unmute yourself. Okay, it's fine. I introduce myself very briefly. My name is Giacomo, the Deputy Secretary General of the Italian Chamber of Commerce and the moderator for this Q&A session. For those that maybe join us a bit late, I would remind that this webinar is promoted under the umbrella of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Italy. This project is very important also because we are doing it not only in Thailand, but this is the entire system of the Chamber of Commerce. I see maybe there is some problem of connection, but I don't want to take too much time. If there is any question, please, you can raise your hand and ask or address your question straight to the speaker. Maybe before starting, I have one question. Please allow me to read it. That I received it before in the private chat. Okay, this question is for Davide. Davide, for you. Someone asked if there is any difference in flavor while testing, I guess, an organic or non-organic wine, and also with a certified wine with a standard wine, or as you call it before, Vino da Tavola.
Thank you for the question. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So of course the question is very pertinent, and I'm glad that the speech of Conti Zecca raised this kind of question, because more and more in the market, in particular in the wine, is growing this attention for the environment and also for the consumer. So from my perspective, being tasting many wines during my experience, and particularly thanks to GFour, I had a chance to compare wine with organically farmed and others more conventional. The organically farmed wines are unique because, as Clemente mentioned, they express the peculiarity of the terroir of they come from. So they use generally, of course, beside the no use of chemical pesticide for many years before to obtain a certification, even in case the winery requires a certification to distinguish in the market. So the absence of chemical and pesticides in the vineyard consumer for the environment, and also they usually use natural yeast fermentation, so gives also the aroma and the perception of a specific terroir and indigenous yeast. Then the lower impact and the intervention during winemaking, and in addition, in the last, they avoid to use excessive sulfites. Of course, all these ways makes an organic wine, following this method, for me, a wine healthier to drink, and one more sincere, more respectful of the environment and the consumer. Definitely might be more expensive because of course the technique of organic farming might be requires more investments. But I think in terms of experience, I would rather recommend a wine who follows the organic farming than a conventional one. Of course, the more expensive the wine, the more should be the quality of the product inside. Maybe there are some products in the market who have achieved very high status and price because of the scarcity of the production that make them very accessible for very few. For the rest, have in Italy many wineries who are following this same Conti Zecca, and others are following and applying the organic philosophy in the production system. And yes, definitely, I would recommend more and more the consumer to go in this direction. Of course, there are maybe extreme extent, so where the wines would be not maybe not as typical in the taste as you expect when you taste a conventional wine. So you have to be open-minded and be prepared to experience taste which are unconventional, but represent the uniqueness of that of terroir and the producer. I think it's the best way to discover many differences between also the Italian regions, which so many realities, and can express really good products. And we are definitely we are trying in our small in our effort, small efforts in Thailand to educate the consumer toward this kind of products. And I hope I was answer the question.
Yeah. I would like to add something about that, because like Davide and GFour, they're doing an incredible job in Thailand in order to promote these quality wines from Italy. It's something that I've never seen in that area, like a company that that are putting so much effort in order to promote this product, because sometimes it's easier to sell like more commercial wines, or like more popular, but they're selling something that has wines that has an idea behind. They have a family, they have a lot of quality behind this product. So it's something incredible what they're doing in Thailand, and they're also a very good result. So I'm very happy about that, because as Davide was saying, yes, an organic product has more personality, more character. But it's not important, I think, the certification in it. It's important that the producer is working well in the vineyards and in the winery. It doesn't matter that he has the logo right now. It's the only important thing is that the producer is working in a correct way. So it's important also to travel when this COVID thing is gonna be finished, and to go in the vineyards and go in the winery that GFour is selling in Thailand, and to see how they're working, the passion that the enologist and the producer has inside their business. This is the most important thing in order to have a quality wine and to have like a better perception of the winery and the wine itself.
Okay, thank you very much both of you for this clarification, and also on behalf of the chamber, I would like to really to say very how important and interesting is to have today as a guest Mr. Clemente, because we actually also witness something new related to the territory of Puglia, which now I guess also more and more Thai people are getting to know, because we also did some project to boost the tourism, and it's also very interesting as a destination for wedding as well as for summer holidays in Italy. It's also very interesting, and I read another question, how your company changed, and we can actually say that you have an evolution as a family business. And there is a specific question now that I read is from my lady Kungan, that she asked, sometimes people associate sulfite as something negative when they drink wine. Is it like that, or do you have sulfite also in organic wine or not? This is more.
Yes, this is a very good question, because it's something that everywhere people are talking. People that are wine connoisseur, they always talk about sulfite in the wine. And as a wine grower and a wine producer, I can assure you that in every wine you have a little bit of sulfite, because of the fermentation process. So when the grapes become and they become wine, there is a production of sulfite itself. So if you want, you don't add any sulfite. So you can produce a wine that you don't add sulfite in it. So you have just a sulfite from the fermentation, which has a very low number, a very low amount in it. But you always have a little bit of sulfite. And I mean, if a wine has too much sulfite, it's bad, because it's bad for you. You're going to have a headache the next day. It's going to be bad. Also, you can smell sulfite in the wine when you smell the wine. So it's something bad for the quality and everything. But the good amount of sulfite is good also for the aging of the wine. Because if you have a low number of sulfite, then the wine will age, especially if it's a white wine, very bad. So if you want to see also the evolution of the wine in time, you need some of it. The important thing is do not put too much sulfite. That's the most important thing. You know? Like in everything everything in life, not just about wine, is important the balance. You know, is the balance also in the use of sulfite. You don't have to exceed. You cannot put sulfite in order to make a kind of natural wine, which is something that I appreciate. But you cannot age the wine for too long, because it's a preservative for the wine, the sulfite. So you need a little bit, not too much.
Okay. This is very interesting to know, and I guess also useful for those that didn't know it before. I saw also in the participant list that we have some chef and restaurant owner. Maybe there is anything that they would like to ask or to share with us about their experience. And maybe another question, this is my personal question to Davide, but also to Clemente, is do you think that Thailand is ready for this market? There is let's say there is a real demand, or are you approaching the organic wines and sustainable wines in Thailand as a new trend or something new that will grow up? What do you think, Davide? I don't know if it's clear, otherwise I can rephrase.
No, no, no. The question is quite clear. Yes, I think there's still growing this demand and this awareness in the consumer, in particular regarding the wine. I saw growing very fast recently the um, organic food, you know, more and more space, especially I see in the retail chain, more and more more and more also restaurant owner and chef are looking for zero kilometer products, also organic farming to but for the wine, yes, we've been pushing this philosophy along the years. Maybe it's not so yet here arrived in Thailand as well as in other markets, same in Italy or in UK or Japan or other more evolved market. Thailand is still a comparative young market for the wine, but it's growing fast. Same the economy with some ups and downs caused by the many major causes. But yes, I saw in the future more and more space among this category in Thailand. But also I see also from the producer in worldwide, more people, more producer following this philosophy. So as I mentioned just one for example, last year I visited France, and the region of the place of Saint-Emilion, probably from this year, asked all the producers to be following the organic farming. Otherwise, they could not be under the appellation of Saint-Emilion. So this is an example of how is the world is going in the direction. The French are the pioneer, let's say, but Italy is following some other countries. Let's say less in the new world, but we cannot generalize. So yes, more and more slowly we are getting there. Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, I think this is clear, and thank you very much, Davide. I see from the chat Mr. Anil from India that was also interested to contact you. Maybe that one you can do it privately later. It's about India and Sri Lanka. I don't know now if Mr. Clemente and his wine are already present in that part of Asia, but it's something interesting to know, and we should also to continue this discussion. Meanwhile, I receive another private message. I don't know why people are writing me privately. They don't share on the group. However, let me understand first this question. Okay. Yes. So the question, if I understood it well, it's regarding Apulian wines. They ask me why wine from Tuscany and Piedmont or Veneto are more famous than the south. Do you agree with this, or maybe?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's something that is like that because in that region they started before not to produce wine, but they started to sell wine before. I mean, like in Puglia, we were one of the first winery to start producing bottles. So in order to put the wine in some bottle and sell the bottles in restaurants and in Italy, and then later also outside Italy. But we started a bit later than that region. Tuscany, for sure, was one of the first Italian region to start selling the wine also outside Italy itself. So it became more famous. The same in Piedmont with the Barolo. They did a great communication strategy in order to sell this product all over the world. And later Amarone too. And they invested a lot of money. The region invested a lot of money in the communication and marketing. They have helped a lot the winery inside the region. And so the name of these three different areas, there is also Prosecco right now, they just spread all around the world, and they became more famous than other regions. But in all Italy, in all the different regions that we have in Italy, we have incredible wine and incredible producer. For sure, that and Chianti Classico. But because they were better in, I think they were better, and they started before in selling this wine, and they were better in communication. But in the last year, I think that Puglia is doing a great job, especially with the Primitivo, with that together with the Negremaro are the two most important red wine that we produce, the two most important grape variety that we have. So it's spreading a lot in the US, but also in Asia, and also in the north of Europe, for example, in Germany. There is a huge demand for Primitivo and Negremaro right now. So we came a little bit later. So right now we are less famous than those three regions, but we are getting there. A little bit slower, but we will get there too.
Okay. And this is also
maybe the advantage is that which is a disadvantage for us, but advantage for sure for you, and especially for people that believes in Thailand, that you can find like Puglia wines that are a little bit less expensive than wine from that region.
Okay. So maybe when you were mentioning about this, it came to my mind also another question that I would like to share with all of you. It's related to the certification. So does the certification like DOC, DOCG and etc. bring you an added value also to compete with other countries? I'm not saying within Italy, but also with other countries. As you know, maybe here in Thailand, you're aware that there are some wines that because of free trade agreement, I'm talking about like Australia, Chile, and etc., come to the market. And sometimes they also use or refer to some name on the label that maybe recall some Italian varieties. Do you think that in that case the certification or also the education of the customer can actually become an added value for final customer to choose your product than the competitor one? What's your thought about this?
I think that the certification, but especially the education, because I mean, like a certification with no education doesn't mean anything. Because sometimes there are some certifications that right now are very famous, such as I don't know, if you have like a product from Burgundy or from Bordeaux, they're very famous certification, or from the Langhe, the Barolo, so they're very famous certification. So it's something different, because in this case it's more about perception of the product, it's more about marketing than about quality itself. Then about the less known certification, I totally agree with you, because like certification are important because it gives value for sure to a product, because we have like rules and laws to follow. So for example, no, I told you before about the DOC Leverano, that you have to do 24 months of aging before releasing the product, and the wine has to be from that area. So it's a restriction, and the restriction for sure everywhere gives value to a product. But the most important thing, more than any certification, is the education. So if you can communicate, like you guys in Thailand, or like us, as a group, not me as a winery, because it's not enough, as to communicate and to educate people and explain what it means, the certification, where the grapes come from, which is the difference, make some tasting. So this is something that everybody should do in order to give value to a product. So it's not enough to have a certification on the bottle and like a DOC, Leverano, but nobody's know about this certification. It's important to explain what does it mean and make people understand which is the difference between a wine with a DOC or a wine without it. So it's something that gives value, but we have to work to give value to this certification, and then we have achieved what other region has achieved in the last year. This is something very important. Then with the organic certification is something different because it's something that is recognized by different countries. It's something that has a regulation by the European government, gives you the organic logo. So it's something that is more famous for sure. So I think that it gives more value to the product, definitely.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for this clarification. Of course, it is important also to make it clear for the other people that are today with us, but this video will also be uploaded in a few hours on our YouTube channel. Maybe just to show you very briefly, this is our YouTube channel. You can see the playlist, and this episode will go under podcast. I also open here the wonderful website of Conti Zecca in case anyone wants to know more. Otherwise, you can contact Mr. Davide, the distributor here in Thailand. The company is GFour. And last, once again, this webinar was brought to you by TrueItaliantaste. This is our project. We hold the chamber, Italian Chamber of Commerce in the world. We are already in 23 countries. You can have a look and discover more, but this is now how we are spread all over the world. Okay, for the moment is everything. We are now at the final greetings. Thank you very much again, Mr. Clemente and Mr. Davide. I don't know, would you like to share anything? Maybe your contacts, and we will also publish under in the description of our webinar.
Okay. I would like to thank you, guys. I would like to thank you all the our guests. I hope that my answers were clear enough. I would like to thank you, GFour and the Italian Chamber for this meeting, which is I think very useful especially for the education that we were talking about before. Something that it's important, and especially now that we cannot travel, so I cannot come in Thailand, which is a region that I love. So I always come once or twice a year in order to meet GFour and to visit our clients there. It's something that I love to do every year. And so thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, we are here and wait for you to come. So we are more than open to welcome in our office. Thank you very much again to Davide. Without you, we wouldn't have this wonderful guest today. And thank you to all the other participants. This session is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Grazie mille, Coach Clemente. Hope to see you soon in Thailand or in Italy. Let's keep in touch, and let's meet each other for the next event of the Thai Chamber of Commerce when will be a chance. Hope to see you soon.
Okay.
Grazie. Thank you
very much. Thank you. Have a good day.